Welcome to The Brass Junkies, a podcast from the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network featuring interviews with the world's greatest brass players by two thoroughly average ones, Lance LaDuke and myself, Andrew Hitz. Today's episode features trumpet player Tage Larsen of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. Tage talks about the many stops in his phenomenal career, including the President's Own Marine Band, the St. Louis Symphony, and the Chicago Symphony. He also talks about what it was like attending Michigan State with Lance and playing in Dallas Brass with me, and about the time he got to perform one of his own arrangements with Yo-Yo Ma. He tells us all about it next. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Brass Junkies. I am one of your hosts, Andrew Hitz, and I am joined by the incredibly talented and insightful and inspiring Lance LaDuke. How are you, Lance?
I feel all those things and more.
Lance just moved. Was that exciting, Lance?
Well, exciting is a word that does not describe the negative aspects of moving.
I see.
I'm very happy where I am, and I'm very happy that it's done. And I'm very happy. The only upside is that you get rid of all sorts of junk that, like, do I want to physically carry this out of this place into another place? No. Sorry, Mom.
Wait, first of all, your mother is mobile. Like, you don't need to carry her. And second of all, that wasn't very nice.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
she doesn't listen to the podcast.
No.
All right.
It's a podcast.
Good. Do you want to say anything bad about your brother? I don't think he listens either.
He's got BO.
Okay. Well,
that's a good start.
That's a good
start. Probably not true. Well, could be true. What do I know?
Yeah, who knows? All right. I'm glad we had this talk. Mm-hmm. All right. Before we introduce our guest, just wanted to ask you if you could go to the iTunes store and leave us a rating and or a review. It would be very helpful for other people to find the podcast. And for all of you who have done that already, thank you so much for taking the time to do that. We very much appreciate you listening and you telling friends about the podcast. And for those of you who are willing to admit that you listen to it, and for leaving the rating, we appreciate all the feedback we're getting. So, without further ado, we have a member of it's a trumpet player, which is unfortunate, but he's a really nice one, and he's in a little band called the Chicago Symphony, and that is both of our good friends, Tage Larsen. How are you doing today, Tage?
I'm doing well. Thanks a lot, Andrew. Thanks a lot, man. It's nice to be on here. Talking to you guys. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Actually, both Lance and I go way back. Lance
go back a little farther. I think
a little further.
Around 1987.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do go back further.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's exposing some ages here. This got awkward. So why don't you tell everyone where you know Lance from?
Lance and I were Spartans together at Michigan State University. I started my undergrad there in 1988, but actually I think you're right, Lance. I think we met when I came there to audition in 1987. And then we were in school
together. Kid, like, you guys got to hear this. There was they put out an APB, there was the ticker tape parade. It was sort of at the end of, there had been a professor there for a very, very long time. Byron Autry had been there for...
Yep, Mr. Autry.
He had original Herbert Clark music. I mean, he was the old-timer. He was kind of at the end of his tenure, and so, sometimes when someone's been there a long time and there's this kind of period before the new person has taken over, there can be a period where you're not flush with great players. And then we kept hearing about this guy. You got to hear this kid. Man, you got to hear this kid. Well, because Ken Bloomquist had heard you somewhere. Where had he heard you?
I can't remember so well, but I went to music camp up in Maine at the New England Music Camp with Leon Gregorian.
Oh, yeah.
who was the orchestra conductor there, and also the conductor of Michigan State University.
It's great to hear you. You're a wonderful player. Young man. Don't listen to you. Hello, my friend.
Nice. That's right. That's right.
We'll share some food together, but not today.
Oh, it's never good when like 3 minutes in, Lance is already starting the impersonations. This will be a long hour.
We asked one question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll be quiet now. Go ahead and finish your story.
No, that was good. That was it. That's it. You said it all. That's him. That was him.
So
no, he was. Yeah.
No, I was going to. So is that was that the connection? Because you grew up as I did in the Boston area, and so I was wondering how you made it all the way out to East Lansing.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, Mr. G, as we called him, was like, "Hey, come here," and it's like, "Okay." He was so fantastic. I mean, the guy's just his love of music, his love of just teaching. I mean, it was just so infectious, right? I mean, you were just so propelled and inspired by him. So, it made total sense to go there, and I got a chance to do a lot of playing. That was a great thing about being there. One of the great things about being there was being able to play in the orchestra, jazz band, the wind band, all sorts of small combos, chamber music. Yeah, it was obviously a great experience. You had a good time too, right, Lance?
I from what I recall, I had a really, really good time.
He's got some stories from the marching band that'll like make you blush. I mean, they'll make like a road musician blush, which ain't that easy to do,
It was good training for my later career.
Yeah. I've been around the block, and you say, "Wait, you did what to who?" Like, and there were no charges pressed. Like, how did that?
Oh, this was pre-internet, man.
Exactly.
Thank goodness.
And pre-charges,
Pre-social media, yeah, that's right.
It was a different time.
Yoy.
That's right. That's right.
So you said you started at Michigan State. Where did you end up?
After that, I went to Eastman for my master's.
Okay.
I studied with Barbara Butler there for 2 years, and then let's see. Then I was in the Marine Band. I was there for 4 years. St. Louis Symphony, and been with Chicago now for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 14
You
years.
skipped something, didn't you? You played with the touring brass quintet, I thought.
Lance, I was getting to that.
Oh,
that's
okay.
like the apex. That's like, it was the shortest stint, but it was like the most, as I mentioned to Andrew, the most, yeah, it was cool. Actually, one of the things that was really, really super cool about it, one of the greatest experiences about it was just the traveling, like being able to see the country, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Drew, we went everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, we were in Tennessee, but we spent a lot of time in Florida.
Yep.
We were in Alaska. I mean, we were going coast to coast, just everywhere. We were out, in Oregon. We did the Midwest a ton. We were even up in Boston. Hey, did you stay at my house?
I sure did. I sure did. Yeah, so you didn't even tell everybody what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like you're wait, no.
So I got so excited.
Yeah, he got so excited thinking about the brief yet inspirational time that he spent with me, musically.
That's damn right.
Yeah, exactly. We were in Dallas Brass together
yes.
for a brief while, and I actually remember staying at your parents' house in Cambridge, but I also remember that was like 2 days after Mateen Cleaves and Michigan State had knocked Florida. My dad went to Florida, and so that was in the Final Four. So that was it was like right then.
Man.
So, yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's not that I'm bitter or anything. So it's okay. So we won a couple a few years later. So, but you weren't around, and you wouldn't have cared if you were. So anyway. But yes, that was I actually there's a couple of very specific memories that I had of playing with you, and not the the good ones. I'm only gonna remember the good times, Tage. The first one was when I had done a lot of traveling already, like not only on family vacations, but also seeing the band Fish, which you probably remember like over and over because I wouldn't shut up about it because I didn't care if people cared if I was talking about it or not. But I remembered saying
Unlike
to you,
now.
unlike now, I only talk to them, talk about them to people who care. I remembered saying to you in the car, like this was on like the second day, I said, I've stayed in hotels like, probably over 100 times, but last night was the first time that I had ever slept in a hotel room by myself. And I remember you looked at me and you looked at me and you said, "You're so young."
I'm sure I did.
It was really funny. No, but it wasn't obnoxious or anything. It was just like you were just like so taken aback. Like you had to look me in the eyes as you delivered this message. Like, "You're so young." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess I am, man." And then the other one is a musical memory. Is that we had our like boot camp for the beginning of the season, which was like 4 or 5 days of rehearsing in Tennessee before our first gig. And back then, now I'm like the epitome of efficiency, or something like that. But back then I was very inefficient, and I was young, and I could kind of, and a tuba mouthpiece is forgiving, and I could kind of muscle my way through stuff, and I didn't play with force on purpose, but I wasn't super efficient. And those, playing in a quintet, as you know, is like is hard on the face. And this was like day 3. And it was like we were warming up, and I remembered that, I'm just like, I'm putting the mouthpiece on my face, and it like it feels tender. And you were over in the corner, like facing away from everybody. There was nothing about this that you were showing off. But about 5 minutes into playing, you played the intro to Mahler 7. And it sounded like the sound was just like coming from like what felt like over my head, and I turned and looked, and you looked like you were asleep. You were so relaxed, and it was just like, it was really stunning to me just how efficient you were and how you were making that sound come out of your bell at that volume, that effortlessly, like pulling the horn out of the case after we'd played for 6 hours the day before. And I remember consciously thinking like, I've got some work to do in this department. So, yeah, it really was a moment. It was just like, holy, how the heck does he sound like that when my chops feel like hamburger? So,
oh man, yeah, those were some tough shows. That was not easy. Yeah, there's lots of stories about. Yeah, I was just thinking about all the memorization we had to do.
Yep,
all that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the first time that I really. My town didn't have a marching band. Did you play in a marching band in Cambridge?
No, we had like a little pep band in high school.
Yeah, I had never really memorized much of anything up until that point, and then all of a sudden had to memorize a whole lot of stuff, which was, it was good. It was good for me to do for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What else?
What was the path, Tage? So give us kind of a chronology of when you did what? Because I mean, it's a crazy. Your resume is awesome.
Yeah,
it's freaky.
It's pretty silly.
As long as we kept hearing, Taga's doing this now. Oh, you know what? He's doing this now. Oh, now it's just like what's that path been? Well, let's just get the facts of it first, and then we'll dig into how it got there.
Cool. After school, after Eastman, then I auditioned for the Marine Band. And let me make sure, I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, the Marine Band, I did that for 4 years. And then, when I left the Marine Band, I just decided, I'm just going to do 4 years. And, that was it for me. I didn't see a career in it. And I felt if I stayed any longer, because I really wanted to play orchestra. Mm-hmm. And I'd given myself until I was 30 to get an orchestra job. So I was like, if I stay any longer, at this point I'm like 28, I should get out. I got out and fortunately got the position in St. Louis once I got out, but I couldn't start until a year later. So I had that whole year just to freelance. So I did some Dallas Brass, played with Philly Orchestra for a little bit, and freelanced around for about a year. Then St. Louis for 2 years. And then after that, CSO. Auditioned for the CSO, fourth trumpet, and I've been fourth utility this is my 14th season now.
So you found a home, you feel like. And what is it about fourth utility that you dig? I mean, you obviously you have the chops and you have the track record that if you wanted to go do something else, you probably could. So what is it about that spot that's got the magnetic pull on you?
What I really like about it, especially in the CSO, is our playing fourth utility is great because it allows me to play. I can play second, I can play third, fourth, of course, when there's a fourth part. Every now and then I play a little bit first, a little lead sometimes. But I love that flexibility, and I love the idea that every week is a different experience, a different part, different repertoire, a different challenge. And I really like that about it. I think that playing, if I was just playing second all the time, it'd be fantastic. But I don't know, I just kind of like the idea that, okay, this week I'm playing third on Mahler 9. Next week I'm playing, second on Pop's program. Or whatever. It's a nice, it keeps things fresh every week. It's a different challenge. Yeah, and also it ensures that, my chops are maintained. I have to be able to play low on at any moment, and I have to be able to keep my high range, intact too, which is a little bit more of a struggle these days. But it's a challenge that I really like.
So do you feel like, does your routine change to fit the demands, or you have sort of a set thing that you do and it sort of covers all the bases?
That's kind of where I am now. I should probably hit some more things. Like, you know what? Yeah. So I have a routine that sort of hits all the bases. But what I'm experiencing now is like my articulation and multiple tonguing. If you let that go, it's just like, it can just leave you. And like, where I used to be able to do that, and so I found like multiple tonguing. I got to keep that up. I've been working on that a lot lately, just trying to get that K tongue, solid, as clear as possible. It's something that I think that I've neglected a lot, and you hear it on recordings like, damn, that just sounds awful. I thought it was going pretty fast. I thought it was clear, but it's just something that I found like, just keeping the air moving and keep the speed of air moving and the multiple tonguing. Yeah, that's because then you all of a sudden you see like Alvarado's coming up, in a couple of weeks, and in the past I've been like, oh, no big deal. But then when you get into rehearsal, you're like, that's a pretty big deal. I cannot. This conductor doesn't care.
Sure.
He's going to go, however fast he wants to go, and you're just kind of, oh, okay. Double tonguing it this week. I'm double tonguing it.
That's a really good way to put it. Conductors don't care; they're just going to go as fast as they want to go.
Right. And then they look at you like what are you doing? You're like, dude, it's not easy. But you want to try to make it as easy as possible. Some stuff is just super challenging, but you just got to keep it up, keep working on it.
You've sort of alluded to it already, but how has your routine changed or evolved? I mean, you and I are not the age we were when we started jumping through these hoops. So how has that evolved? We'll say. I
found like recently, like the past like half a year or so, I've been working with the piano a lot, just working on pitch, just working on centering and sound. And like I used to do a lot of buzzing, which I think is fantastic. But I've kind of gotten away from that a bit, where I'm just getting more into like getting my chops as far into the mouthpiece. Do you know what I mean? And getting like the sound as focused and as clear as possible, and working with a tuner or piano, and working with a metronome too. I'm working with a metronome all the time because you can take for granted, that you think you had a really good time, And I remember I was playing a gig with Charlie Geyer, and I can't remember what we were playing. I think maybe Sibelius 2 or something like that. And I thought, I was like, okay, I'm kicking on this part, kicking. And the conductor kept stopping, and Charlie just looked at me and said, "Your time's messed up." You're just not playing a time. And I was like, damn, I felt so good about it.
Your time is messed up. I would say that you're rushing or you're dragging, but it's both.
I've never heard anybody both rush and drag at the same time. Congratulations.
I really like what you were trying to do there, Tage.
Exactly, right? Exactly, just like that. And to hear from Charlie, he's the best. That guy is just amazing. He's just so blunt. He's just like, no, he's not. He's just bad, dude. Okay.
Well, because there's no malice behind it. It's just like
no.
Hey, man,
Mark is
it's
up
you.
Here, and you aren't near it.
So that's how my routine's kind of changed. yeah, just kind of just getting into keeping the fundamentals going, but just trying to take it, just trying to really get focused on just playing correctly, playing with good, with good basics, and just trying to get better.
Do you teach?
I do. I'm on staff at. I'm an adjunct at DePaul. I've been there for DePaul University in Chicago 9 years. Yeah, about 9 years now. Yeah.
Do you teach just trumpet, or do you teach other stuff as well? Chamber music or any of the other stuff?
No, I teach trumpet. There are 4 of us in the studio. I just teach private lessons, and we have like a studio class once a week.
Hey Lance, we did a master class there with Boston Brass about 5 years ago. So thanks for coming to that, Tage.
Wait, seriously? Damn. Did you guys really do that?
Yeah, you were probably downtown. It was at night sometime. I'm just busting on you.
I remember that now.
Shoot.
No.
Set that up, right?
Who now? What?
Man.
Who was the
Jeff knew somebody.
The trombone player that played with us with the.
Was it Tom Matta?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Tom Matta.
Yep.
Didn't he set that up?
Yep, I think he might have set that up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right, because we held the beginning of the class wait because we thought we had that chair taped off for Tage.
Yep. We're like, surely.
We waited and waited.
He's a dear friend. Yeah. Tage asked both of us to be groomsmen, but neither was available. But so I mean, he's surely going to show up, and
nice.
then we
That's
just
going to take us down a path you don't want to go.
then
That's cool.
we very awkwardly just removed the tape and commenced the
Right, yeah, and then we just
dissemination of knowledge.
We're going to start now.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right.
So, speaking of your basics, what are the? Obviously, a lot of that gets covered routinely, like in your parts with the symphony. But what is it specifically that doesn't generally come up in the music you play in the symphony that you have to keep checking in on, other than the multiple tonguing?
Sure, just sound, basic approach, initial attacks, soft playing, control, slurring, flexibility. Oh, flexibility. Yeah, that's huge. And just this evenness of sound,
What do you do to practice your soft playing?
The speed of air, just making sure the air is just immediate. So that's, because the biggest challenge about soft playing is just getting that initial attack happening. It's being able to sustain, sustain your tone at a very soft volume for a long time, without wavering, without falling off, and trying to keep it in tune. So I feel personally that, your initial attack and the release of air is like 90% of making that happen and making that secure. So working on that sort of idea with air attacks, with the immediacy of the air, and then introducing the tongue and getting the tongue at the tip of the teeth and releasing as quickly as possible and sustaining the sound at your softest, your 5 Ps, and keeping it in tune, and keeping it unwavering, and with beautiful sound. And that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do. So yeah, just trying to work on that consistently, building up the confidence to be able to do it consistently. Because sometimes you might hit it like wow, but you don't want it to be a surprise because 90% of the time, or 70 to 80% of the time, it's not going to be that easy, and it's gonna not sound that good. Like for instance, this week we're playing Brahms 2. And there are a couple of really super soft spots in that. Like for instance, the end of the second movement. The woodwinds come in. We're supposed to come in like on a really soft, like B major chord. I've got the third. The second bar has the third, and that D sharp is just, if you're not really super secure with that, you can throw everything off. So yeah, just working on stuff like that to have the confidence to be able to come in securely. But it's fun. It's good. I love it. I love the challenge of it.
It's staggering how I remember. I can't remember if I told this on the show before. I went to a master class that Mark O'Connor gave. Did I tell this story on the podcast?
I don't think so.
I lived in Granville, Ohio for a while, which is where Denison University is, and they had somebody rich died and left a big bucket of money for them to put on a chamber music series every year. And so this was the whatever anniversary, and Granville, Ohio is about a half an hour east of of Columbus. It's a cute little town. It was actually folks from New England settled in this part of Ohio, and Denison University is a nice private school, but not a big town, not a lot of folks. But the lineup this year, for this particular year, was Mark O'Connor, Yo-Yo Ma, and Itzhak Perlman.
Wow.
Might have been another one. But, I mean, like, they wrote big checks. And so I'd been driving back and forth to Pittsburgh. I did almost nothing in Ohio, but I happened to be getting a cup of coffee or something, and I saw a free masterclass with Mark O'Connor on Thursday, whatever it was, and I was able to go. So I show up, and there's about, I mean, it's like every masterclass you've ever been to, there's like 9 of us there. And here's Mark and O'Connor, and here's this dingbat euphonium player, and all these, like, a couple of local people, and then whatever violinists are at the school. And so then Heap comes out and he plays and he talks and whatever, and are there any questions, which is, you know, the same thing happened at every master class that I've ever been to as well, where everybody just sort of, their shoes got super interesting, except for this dingbat euphonium player. And I'm like, I'm not going to, I may never have this opportunity. So bang, I'm like firing question after question after question.
Amen.
And until actually it was kind of funny. When it was done, he like bolted out the back door, like, I got to get away from that dude. But I said the PBS miniseries Liberty had been on, and he did the soundtrack for that. I was a big Mark O'Connor fan. And there's a great duet on there that he did with Wynton, and the recording is just gorgeous of these two playing. And so I said, what was that like? He had arranged the tune, and he said the most shocking part to him was how loud Wynton's softest playing was. Not that Wynton had some sort of deficiency, but that just the characteristics of a brass instrument, it was just to sit next to him, he had no concept. And it was a real eye-opener for me. I mean, I remember sitting in front of or near, you know, great clarinetists, because I didn't do the orchestra thing. So hearing these folks come from not like, there's just, you see them doing something before you actually hear anything happen.
Wow.
He was going on and on about how what a jolt that was, that Wynton was, you know, trying everything he could to match the pianos of the violin, but you can't keep up. So sure.
I had a similar experience at NOI, the National Orchestral Institute, where I crashed I was friends with some of the bass players, Renan Meyer and Peter Seymour, and a bunch of knuckleheads who have gone on to great careers in spite of themselves. They're dear friends of mine, so I can speak ill of them. But I went went to a bass master class with Ed Barker, who has been the principal bass in the Boston Symphony for a very, very long time. And I brought my horn, and we were doing some Prokofiev. I don't remember what it was, but there was some stuff that had that was basically bass and tuba within the orchestral context. And he had me playing, and in a very nice way, he was not having it how loudly I was playing, like when it was piano, and it wasn't for lack of trying. You know, it was. And then I got super soft, and exactly what Tage just said. I got super soft, and then a couple of the notes got a little bit sharp, and then he was like, he's got like a tuner for an ear, and he was like, he didn't say it this way, but he was basically like, I didn't ask you to change the pitch. Like, the pitch was great, just make it softer, you know. And that was a real eye-opening experience as well. And that was actually, I think, just a few months before our stint together in Dallas Brass. And again, I remembered how incredibly softly you could play at that time, and about how nothing about it changed other than the volume. You know, it was like the attacks, the releases, and I was thinking, like, I wish I had brought Tage with me to that Ed Barker masterclass. Yeah, I could have been like, just have him do it. So,
Well, it's like the conductor doesn't care. They want to go at the speed they want to go.
Yep.
And the listener doesn't care. That might be hard for you. That's nice. That's not my problem.
Yep.
I paid $40 to do this, so go.
Right, and exactly. And it's something that, you know, audition committees like really admire. I think, you know, if you have that palette, that wide range of dynamic control. Wow, you know, if you're someone that can really play a nice soft pianissimo, that's some serious points right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, any meathead can make big, loud noises. And it's, I was sitting in brass band of Battle Creek, and Scott Hartman was right behind me, and he came in, so I turned around to look at him, like, he thought he did something wrong. I'd never heard the trombone that quiet before.
Wow.
Never heard anybody put a diminuendo like that. And he's like, what? Like, dude, that's hard. Like, how in the world?
Yeah.
Like, holy moly.
Yeah, and to do it with expression and just with a nice sound and, like a nice vibrato, it's something that's so admirable. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something you try to achieve.
All right, here's a brass podcast question. You ready?
Yeah.
You've had the opportunity to play in at a professional level with a band and with a quintet and with orchestra. What are the similarities or differences? How do those sort of stand apart in terms of the challenge of
similarities. Sorry to interrupt, but just the chamber music aspect. You have to be able to balance. You have to be able to lead when you need to lead. You have to be able to play as a section player. When you need to. So yeah, some of the similarities. I think that, in the band, different from an orchestra. I'd say the band and the chamber music experience are more similar in that you have to have extreme endurance. You have to be able to really play for a long time, and sometimes 2 hours straight. I remember sometimes in the Marine Band, like doing some of these Pentagon arrivals or White House jobs where you're just playing march after march after march for literally hours. Where your chops you're just holding on. I mean, you have to really have mega endurance. With orchestra, you're getting through a Shostakovich symphony. That's but there's some times you've got a little bit of rest. But that presents a challenge too in itself. You have to be able to play after sitting there for 45 minutes, coming on something really hard or high or low or soft. So therefore the idea of having, keeping your chops up on a regular basis is so important. I think that's like the common denominator is that you have to be able to be prepared for whatever situation you're facing in all these situations. But I'd say the chamber music experience and band are more similar.
Do you do much chamber music playing now?
I'm doing a little bit. Yeah, I'm doing a little bit every now and then. I'm doing the Houchin trio for trumpet, piano, and violin in a couple weeks. And yeah, a little bit, a couple things here and there.
At DePaul, or where are you doing that?
That's with some CSO players for a chamber music series.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I did a really cool chamber. Oh, speaking of Yo-Yo, I did a really cool thing with him a couple years ago. We did a flamenco dance thing with a cello and trumpet and bass, and that was really cool. Yeah. So yeah, just a couple chamber music things every now and then.
Talk about that. What was it was for the CSO? Because is he still affiliated with the orchestra in terms of that?
Yeah, he's an artistic advisor for the
Right.
CSO, and so he'll come in a couple times a year and just stun everybody with his amazing just artistry and just his cool self. He's just the coolest dude. Do you guys know him?
No, not at all.
I've said hello to him, and he was phenomenally gracious when I did, but I don't know him.
Yeah, he the guy is just amazing. He's so super cool, and he agreed to do this arrangement I did of the Concerto de Honores, Rodrigo. So we played this like little chamber music arrangement, and then sort of transitioned into like flamenco dancing, because the whole idea of it was to after the concert, we did a concert of all Spanish music. So after the concert, we had like a little event up in our ballroom. We've got this beautiful ballroom at the CSO. So we did this piece and had these flamenco dancers, kill it with their dancing. But that was really cool. It was amazing working with him. Just for the few hours that we got a chance to just experience him. He like broke everything down. And of course, his playing is just, it's yo-yo. So it was just so phenomenal, so phenomenally beautiful. And that was a great experience. I'll never.
So how does a rehearsal for something like that? How does it differ, if at all? Maybe it doesn't differ at all. When you're working with somebody like that, what do you take away from that, or how is it different?
By the time we rehearsed as a what was it? Whatever. It was like 6 players.
Mm-hmm.
So we rehearsed without him I was like, come on, guys, like 3 months before he got there, just getting everything super tight. So he would just come in and just do his thing. So when he got there, we had it all set, and he just came in, played his part, and we could just work on subtle things, just like phrasing, a couple of tempo things and balance things, because we want to make sure sounded good in the room. Balancing trumpet with cello and getting the ensemble together. But yeah, at that point, we just got together in a few hours. And it worked out great because you want something to kind of be spontaneous too, in a way. You want to make it sort of just over rehearsed, but that was really cool.
Did you get the opportunity to at any point say, "Hey, Yo-Yo, your time is a mess there"?
That's funny.
I take that as a no.
No way. Come on.
By the way, you might have Tage Larsen's career when Lance asks the chamber music question, and then like the Yo-Yo Ma thing isn't even the first thing you bring up, and you're like,
right.
Oh yeah, and that's completely genuine for anybody wondering. Like, oh yeah, by the way, I did a thing with Yo-Yo Ma a couple years ago. Like, yeah, like most of us would have been posting on social media about that every day for the last 2 years, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I was in the St. Louis Symphony. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was for 2 years. So.
And actually, I'm flattered that you think I would know him. That's the part that you're. Certainly, you remember I play euphonium, right?
All right. Come on. No, you know what? You get older, dudes. You start feeling it. You start forgetting. You just start. Oh man, and Drew, you've got a young son. I've got my kids now are teenagers, but that's like all encompassing. That's like wow. Yeah. What kind of trouble were they getting in?
Yeah.
Well, if it's any indication, mine's still in bed asleep. It's 11:15 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, mine too. They're both. It's spring break, and these guys are just taking full advantage of it. They're not getting up.
Oh goodness.
Well, I had another direction. Unless Andrew, do you want to pick up on any of that before I launch?
I was actually going to take us in the same direction that you're about to.
Oh, go ahead.
Which no, you.
So, you are in a part of our industry that is often under fire.
Yeah.
And, I feel like one of the good things that CSO has done is to hire somebody like Yo-Yo Ma, who's thinking broadly in terms of what does, I'll call it classical music because it's a good way to put it in the category that we're talking about, but that makes it vital and relevant to people. And I think that's a good indicator of what sort of thinking is, at least from the outside looking in, is happening at the CSO. What are your thoughts about that, or what kind of experiences can you tell us from the inside out in terms of that?
Oh man, that's so cool. I'm glad we're talking about this because personally, one of the things that I think is so gratifying about classical music is like kind of what I mentioned before about, in particular, the chamber music aspect playing is just being able to communicate with people, being able to work out your differences with people, and hopefully coming to common ground. I think can translate to society, without sounding too hokey about it. But I think it's really true. Is like you might have differences, stylistically, length of notes, blah blah blah, certain things. But it's important to get together if you want to make a performance like really special, really great. If you want to have a lot of fun doing it, and you want your audience, of course, to really enjoy what you're doing, it's essential that you break those things down. You really work on those things, and you try to find that common ground, and that you have a vision together of what you want it to be, of what you're trying to create, and communicating and working on it is like so essential. Like in the CSO, we still do we'll do like little sectionals, just to work on spots. Hey, let's go over this. Let's try to work on this. Let's, can we try this a different way? Can we can we play this a little longer here, a little short, whatever. Just trying to make it every single day. Just trying to make it better, just talking, communicating, talking about it. And I don't know. I think that's the one thing is, like you mentioned, is just very important for the vitality of this music. Not just to be able to come in and just knock out a Star Wars show that the audience is going to enjoy. Yeah, sure, but if we want to make it really special, if we want to really get the music to life, if we really want to create something special, I think that communication is just. I think it's not. It's it can't be stated enough. How important that is.
How do you feel like there's often a ding against us? The notion is that we're not relevant to people or to society anymore. And I feel like those, doing flamenco music with Yo-Yo Ma is a good example of trying to take things in a direction that will speak to more people. I mean, certainly playing Star Wars to a broader audience, but there are other ways to do that. You want to talk about that?
I totally hear that, but I think that, for me at least, you can kind of get like a wash, and like there's so many possibilities, but I think that at essence, if we're not doing something, if as performers, if we're not sincere about what we're doing, if we're just kind of going through the motions, you know what I mean? I wish we played more Beethoven in the orchestra, actually. I wish we played more music that really spoke to, as performers, our soul, because I think that translates to the audience clearer and more directly. They may not know what they're listening to, but if they sense that we're convinced and we're into, our hearts are into it, I think that more than anything is going to get people more involved in it. Because I think there's kind of been a whitewashing of performances. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think there's a lot more emphasis on the style. I mean, I hate to say it, but you see so many like advertisements for classical music where you're looking at these beautiful people and these beautiful concert halls, but not and you might be playing Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony. That's like that's like an afterthought. Let's go to the symphony for the glamour of it. But no, I mean, the idea is that, like, I don't know, like when you go to hear Beethoven 5, like, okay, how many times do people how many times have we played it? But it's still so relevant. I mean, it's still incredible music, and there's still always something interesting to listen to, even though you might know the melodies, but you can, I don't know. I just think that there's more to it, that if we as artists, just give that extra effort to make a convincing performance, I think that's going to, I don't know, I want to think that that's going to bring people in more. Or we should be trying to explain that aspect of performance more. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's how.
Well, I think we had a period. Maybe you could argue we're still in it, but where we were sort of apologists for it, like, you should come because it's good for you and it's whatever, and or it's a status thing. And I think it sort of feels like there's a backlash against that, where where what you just said, where no, this is valid on its own. We don't have to walk it down. We don't have to. We don't have to do there. It stands fine. It's been around for 130 years. This piece that we're about to play, and it's going to be around in another 130 years. And we don't need to apologize for that. And we just need to play it as well as we can. And the proof will be in the pudding. We're at this point where you can go get. You can be a coffee person, and you can get so ingrained, or you can go so deep in coffee, or in chocolate, or in beer, or in what you name it, cheese. And I wonder if we're going to have if we can have a similar experience with classical musicians, where people it becomes this super curated, niche-y thing, and that's okay, that we're part of this tribe that is really into this. The question, the hard part for you, mister, is that I mean, I can be into coffee and it's an expense to me, and I'm one dude. I don't have to worry about keeping 200 people employed. That's the trick. I mean, that's where Baumol comes back.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And I think about this all the time. It's like, well, what, as a musician, that's an individual decision you have to make, because you see it. I mean, I see it daily. Like, you go to work, and I mean, to be honest, I mean, some people don't even want to be there. It's like, why? What, really? You don't? We're here for a couple hours rehearsing. You don't? I mean, that just frustrates me. It's just like, come on, let's. We're so fortunate to be able to have this opportunity to be able to play these great works in this great hall with these wonderful conductors, for an audience that's willing to pay. We got to give it 100%, come on, I don't know. That's just something that really.
How do you make a musician miserable?
Give him a gig, yeah. It's got
nice.
It's got to be. It's got to be frustrating for someone like you, because the very beginning of the interview, you talked about how you were like solo cornet with the Marine band, and you then decided that that you weren't being fulfilled in that role, and you stepped down, which for me is incredibly admirable. I just made you. You're now in the in the Navy.
Yeah, the Navy band.
Yeah, you're in the Navy band.
That's right.
Yes, that's it's so admirable. The fact that you took a job like that, which, boy, that's one of the dream jobs, and you decided that your life, that you could have more impact or be happier or whatever. I'm putting words in your mouth, but it seemed like what you were getting at, with something else. And so it's got to be frustrating when you have colleagues who won't make that same plunge, if you will.
Well, everyone's got their situations,
Of course.
And, I can't, but for me personally, I love it. The music, playing, like I mentioned, playing Brahms 2 this week. That'll never get old.
Right.
I love it. It's beautiful music, and why not try to just make it, try to make it special every time. Put your heart into it. Give it 100%. I don't know.
The Lance talking about the not being apologists anymore and just letting it stand on its own merits reminds me of a couple of months ago there was an article that made the rounds online, which was someone who very forcefully was telling people to stop pointing out that music helps test scores and helps people learn other subjects, which I thought was really fascinating and they weren't, and this person who was a music educator, and I wish I could remember his or her name, who wrote it, but they were, they started, if I remember correctly, by saying that it does help test scores and it does help, and there's brain, all that stuff, but that they felt that music education was so worthwhile that it stood on its own merits and did not need to be, the argument didn't need to be cheapened by pointing out that it helped these other areas that, that the other articles were kind of tacitly implying were more important than music education by not letting it stand on its own two legs. So I thought that there was a parallel there.
Definitely, yeah. That's very interesting. I think I saw that article actually too. I didn't read it, but I meant to. Yeah, I meant thinking like, oh yeah, that was very. It should stand on its own. Yeah.
Yep. I was too busy playing with Yo-Yo Ma to read that article, but I do remember
like, yo, did you read that article? Yo?
Yeah, me neither. I'm too busy playing with you, Yo-Yo.
All right, I want to go in another direction, and this one is going from the sublime to the ridiculous. Unless you have something else you want to talk about, Mr. Hitz.
No,
I want to know what are the hilarious things that have happened to you while on stage at a concert or on a ceremony. I mean, like awful stuff goes on, and it's the most hilarious stuff to me.
Can we bring up the Jens Lindemann segment?
Man.
Is this an appropriate time to...
Anytime is an appropriate time for Jens stories. That's
right to the ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I was with the CSO Brass Quintet. We were in Italy, and for some reason, I don't know why none of the other trumpet players wanted to go, or I don't know what happened, but so Jens came to play with us, and we were there for like a week. In where were we? I think we were in in Tuscany for a little bit, Santa Fiore, and then we went down to Sardinia. When we were in Sardinia, Jens is of course he's just amazing. He's Jens Lindemann, just a phenomenal player, and a showman too, right? Like he likes to put on a little bit of a show.
A little bit.
So the concert was kind of long. It was kind of dry out. We were playing outside, and it was pretty warm. I think it was somewhere in the summer sometime. So there were all these like tall bottles of water on stage, and we're like 3/4 into the concert, and we're playing some tough stuff, and so we take a little bit of break, and Jens gets out there and starts talking to the audience, blah blah blah, and he stops and grabs one of these bottles, one of these huge bottles of water, and starts just like chugging it, and essentially, he's trying to put on the show, like he does it so well, but he tries to drink this whole like, I don't know, like big bottle of water. He's chugging it, yeah. And he doesn't realize this water is like, frizzante. It's, the bubbly water. Dude, this was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. It was crazy. Like, he drinks his whole bottle of water, and then he's like, "Oh," you could just like look at that look on his face, like, "Oh, what the hell did I just do? I'm in big trouble now." He just started. Oh man, it was just hilarious. Burping and he just for like 20 minutes he couldn't play. It was really, that was like one of the funniest things. And so Gene Picorni, the tuba player in the CSO, his locker's right across from mine. Every time I see him in like this little bottle of water, we always think of that Frizzante. You know, look at each other, Frizzante.
I like that every Jens Lindemann story starts that where there's this like great attempt at bravado. Yeah. This great, I'm going to show the world how awesome. There's this moment where he just stand over or whatever it is.
I also like the fact, and Jens has done as much as anybody I know in his career, but it's still a big deal to be like touring with the CSO brass quintet, and the fact that he was on stage and for 20 minutes he was too gassy to be able to play his trumpet. That's
it was phenomenal. It was. It was wild. That was really funny.
Oh my goodness.
That was really funny.
See? That lived up to expectations.
Yeah, that was good. Well, speaking of our dear friend Jens, as I'm sure that all of you in the Chicago Symphony trumpet section are aware, that Jens has been going through some chop problems of late. So, was wondering if you had any advice that you might be able to give him other than not chugging gallons of Frizzante.
To give Jens. Oh man, I don't know. I would think that what? How much does this trumpet cost? Like $1.6 million. I don't think it really matters like what your chops feel like. I mean, you've got the horn, it should play itself. I would hope. Right? It's supposed to be some sort of diamond-studded trumpet. Is that right?
So what I just heard is that he needs a new mouthpiece. That's the answer you guys give to everything, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
he should endorse the burp.
Oh, there you go. Oh, endorse the burp. I get it. Italian. Frizzante. Yeah. There you go. My 13-year-old won't listen to me of late. I think I should change mouthpieces. Oh, goodness. So, actually, that would be a good question. If you ended up on a desert island with your trumpet, which 30 mouthpieces would you choose to take with you?
Oh, I've only got one. I've got the same one.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, hold on.
Yeah, it's kind of lame. In fact, I have to get another one because it I've got a teenage son. He was messing around with it. He did something to it that doesn't fit him right, so I've got to get another one. But it's I've just got the 1.5B. I've been playing it for a long time. I had a bunch. I'll just give a couple away, but you just want one, right? I mean, hopefully one will do the.
They're gonna take your trumpet player card away.
Yeah, I would.
You only have one mouthpiece.
I would not try showing up at the next ITG. Yeah,
part of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
I probably should have more, but I don't know. I don't know. Just you practice. It sounds so stupid, but I don't know. But I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't know. Just you want to play something, and it's also conceptual. Like I don't know. I think the one I have is famous last words. But it's all right. It's all right now. It's all right for now.
How long have you been playing that?
This 1.5B. I played a different mouthpiece like for a couple of years when I joined the CSO, but then I went back to this Bach. So it's probably been about 10 years, 12, yeah, something like that.
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah, it's blowing my mind too. It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
I knew I liked you for a reason.
Yeah, it's like so. So
like normal.
You're like normal. Yeah.
Well, why confuse things, And plus, I love practicing anyway. So, a few hours here just trying to work on a different concept. It's no big deal. I'd rather do that than switch a mouthpiece. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, just a different feel, I don't know. I don't know. I can't get into that.
I want to minimize the variables. Now, I don't.
Thank you.
I mean, guys do the thing, but I always blame myself first, and then I just want to have as few things to change as possible.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Heavy valve caps, man. Heavy valve caps. One thing that that I meant to ask you before, if we could circle back to our time with Dallas Brass, was that that we started with the first half of the show, and we're doing William Tell Overture, and your multiple tonguing certainly sounded fantastic then. It was like, I mean, and we were doing just fast, slow, whatever, all this stuff, loud, soft, running the gamut of classical music. Then we started rehearsing the second half and the jazz stuff. And I remember,
Sugar Blues.
Sugar Blues. When you played that, and it was like you closed your eyes. No one would ever guess. You sounded so good on that you did not sound like someone who was just in the Marine Band. You did not sound like, and some of those, I don't mean this in a disparaging way at all,
Sure.
or someone that was on their way to the St. Louis Symphony. What I mean is, you didn't sound like someone who. You sounded like someone who had been living and immersed in that style of music and that style of music only your whole life. That's how convincing it was. So how did you get into playing those different styles, and how did you get to the level where you were so convincing, and still are, I'm sure, so convincing on all of them?
Oh man, well I think that one thing that influenced that, when I started playing trumpet, I started playing jazz. I started playing. My first lessons were with a jazz saxophone player, actually.
Huh.
So yeah, just learning the styles, learning some improv. I started learning at a young age. So my initial, experiences on trumpet were jazz, and plus I love the music so much anyway. So again, it's something that it's such a passion for me. To be able to perform, I love listening to it, love trying to learn it. But I just trying to work out giant steps. With how in your career, all of a sudden you go through and a light goes on, oh my God, this is not like some crazy magic music that's incomprehensible. You can actually figure out how something works.
Right.
So actually sitting down and figuring out how the changes work, and how Coltrane sort of conceptualized his idea. I know that's exciting, just to be able to figure stuff out like that. It's just a passion,
You still play much jazz?
No, I work on it though. I practice it a lot. Yeah, I every day I'm working on something, some sort of change.
What's it do for you? Why do you keep doing it? Obviously, it has a benefit. What's that benefit?
I love it. I don't know. It just I think maybe it's just I don't know, just a learning thing. I just want to learn how to be able to articulate in a certain way. I just want to learn. It actually, helps me. We were playing a Mendelssohn symphony, and I was like, oh my God, look at all these 2-5-1s going on in this Mendelssohn. I was like, oh my, the parallels, just interesting. You know what I mean? Wow. It's just going from a dumb, stupid, just trumpet player, just to trying to become a better musician and understanding how music works and functions. And it's just, it's been kind of interesting.
Who are you listening to now? I mean, jazz-wise, are you into something right now? Or you just go back to the classics?
Well, there's one particular tune I've just been really. It's a tune called Harriet Tubman by Wynton, and there's a version of it on this live album from the Village Vanguard with a septet that I'm just listening to every day, all day. It's just fascinating. It's just beautiful. It's incredible. The soloing, of course, is amazing. The tune itself is amazing. It's sort of a slow shuffle or mid shuffle sort of thing that. It's just really, really cool how he wrote it, and how it kind of takes shape, and the voice writing of it, the voice leading, and then how the horns work together. Harriet Tubman.
Very cool. I'll go check that out.
Yeah,
that's a phenomenal set.
Isn't it?
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's really good stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it so early on, but how spoiled I was that first lead trumpet player I played with in the quintet was you, and then Rich Kelly, who's the same thing. I've seen him do the Brandenburg Concerto. It sounds like the pick was handed down to him by angels. I mean, the whole thing was just completely effortless and soft, and and everything. And then Jose Sabaha, and it's just the breadth of styles of all three of you guys. Rich
Kelly. Rich Kelly is our Massachusetts connection.
Yep.
He's from Brockton.
He's from Jamaica Plain.
Jamaica Plain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
He was in the All-State Orchestra. I'll never forget this, but he's a couple years older than me. And a few years older than you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he in Allstate. So you go out there and you play, and then there's a recording made of the performances. And I remember before going out there, someone gave me a recording. Hey, man, listen to this. This is Rich Kelly. When he was playing, a couple years ago when he was playing lead. You got to hear this. He was playing on Hansel and Gretel. It was the most beautiful. There's a trumpet solo, just a couple bars long. Da, dun, da, dun, da, dun, dee, da, da, dee, da. And I just remember listening to like, wow, this is the most beautiful trumpet sound I'd ever heard. And to this day, he's got the most beautiful trumpet sound. And like you said on piccolo, oh my, like his recordings with Meridian brass.
Yeah.
Some of that Baroque.
Yep.
I think there's Renaissance Dances, I think is the name of the recording.
Yep, it is.
Holy, I mean, it's just the most beautiful piccolo playing. The guy is just brilliant.
Yep, indeed. Yeah, we really should have him on the podcast, Lance. He's
Who's that again?
Yeah. it's Kelly with an EY. Yeah. And he's just like you, where he's so accomplished and he's like infuriatingly humble and he's approachable, and it's just like it makes it hard to tell trumpet jokes, but we still do. So we still do.
Nice.
Because he ends.
Yeah,
For every Taga, there's a Jens. There's a lesson in there, children.
20 minutes of gassy Italian goodness.
Brillante. Yes.
Brillante Lindemann.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
All right, Lance, anything else?
Website or any place you would, if people want to check out more about what you're doing or you're playing or any of that stuff, what's the best place to find
come
out?
to CSO Cons. Come on. Come to Orchestra Hall.
Cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, are you on the social medias?
I have a Facebook page.
Yeah, so
I don't know. Friend me on Facebook. I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't have anything like that.
Great. Yeah, you can also find him on the DePaul website as well. So
yes.
Cool. Well, this was great.
Cool,
we should. We should.
So good to talk to you.
We should
Great
not
connecting
go.
With you guys.
We should not go a decade again. So
I know.
Yeah. Cool. Well, everybody's got everyone has children now, and life is full.
Time marches on. Yeah, right. Sure is.
I have spent more than one night alone in a hotel room now. So yeah.
Double digits.
Yeah, it's like a lot more. Yeah, we're easily into quadruple digits at this point. So yeah. That's basically what I did for a living yep. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you so much to Taga, and that will do it for another episode of The Brass Junkies. You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to help support the podcast in order to make more episodes like this one possible, please visit pedalnotemedia.com/donate for more details. Also, be sure to check out our latest recording, The Brass Recording Project, at brassrecordingproject.com. The Brass Junkies is produced by Austin Boyer and Buddy Deschler of the Fredericksburg Brass Institute. Executive producers are Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.